The views and opinions expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of KTOO Public Media. This program may contain discussions that include terminology or perspectives that reflect different time periods, cultural contexts, or viewpoints that may not align with contemporary standards or expectations.
Well, we have 2 leagues during the day only, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have housewives. We call them housewives on Thursday, but on Tuesday we call them domestic engineers.
Officiating is the only thing that I know of where you have to be right 100% of the time, and then you have to improve on that, which, is virtually impossible.
Open 7 days and 2 nights a week, Eagle Crest sees up to 39,000 skiers annually. 600 acres include miles of cross-country trails and 29 alpine runs serviced by 3 lifts.
Americans jog 28 million miles each day. That's equivalent to 1,100 trips around the earth. In the course of expending that energy, they burn up some 3 billion calories. Some of that effort is done for health, and some just for the fun of it. Hello again, I'm Scott Foster, and welcome to Rain Country. And this week, just for the fun of it, we take a look at the sporting life in Southeast Alaska. Our first sport has a long history. It was popular in Europe in the 1300s and brought to the United States by the Dutch in the 1600s. The object is accuracy with a ball, and it's played on a surface that's the same distance as from a pitcher's mound to home plate. But the ball in this sport is 50 times heavier than a baseball.
It could be any day of the week in just about any town in the country. They do it in Sitka, and Ketchikan has a large and fairly new facility. This is Channel Bowl in Juneau, and these bowlers are members of the Housewives League.
Well, we have 2 leagues during the day only, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have housewives. We call them housewives on Thursday, but on Tuesday we call them domestic engineers. So that's who we're looking at here today, are just our lady bowlers. We provide a babysitter service for anyone with children, and it works out pretty good for some of the gals.
There's 10 teams on this league.
Do you know how many leagues there are?
I have no idea how many leagues there are.
The women's league are during the day for housewives, and we have some after office hour leagues that are all women, some that are mixed leagues. Our men's league bowls on Wednesday at 7 and another one on Tuesday night at 7. They're all men leagues. And other than that, they're mixed leagues. And then on Saturday morning, we have a high school league, and Saturday noon, we have a Bantam Children's League. That's our leagues.
Kay May has been bowling for 33 years, and for the last 10 has been the proprietor of Juneau's Channel Bowl.
I think our highest average this year is like a 196. In women, I've been carrying the highest average in the 188 bracket, but that's not professional. You'd have to be way up there in the 200 average.
But who are all these women, and just what brings them down here?
I enjoy the people and bowling. Good exercise.
How often do you come?
Well, right now about 4 times a week.
So you're on 4 different teams?
Right. I'm a sub on this league, but I'm on 3 regular leagues.
Oh, I've been bowling down here for years. Got to keep my bones going, you know.
The fun of it, getting out and meeting all my friends and whatnot.
One of the striking, make that notable things about watching these women is that age doesn't seem to be a factor at all.
And we range in age from 70 down to 30 on our teams.
I believe I'm the youngest, and I'm not sure the ages of the others. They're in their 60s probably.
There's no discrimination whatsoever. In fact, as we have had occasionally people that would be in the junior classification but who opted to bowl this league.
Does age have much to do with your bowling ability?
Beyond a certain point, yes. But no, a person can bowl fairly well until you just learn a little lighter balls, a little slower approach. The nice thing about this is the wide age variance on these leagues. The other league has fewer young people than this one does, but it's kind of nice to see the youth viewpoint and the more mature viewpoint. It's great fun.
Like most local sports, these bowling teams have sponsors. But just what does a sponsor do, and what do they get out of it?
Our sponsors, they pay a sponsorship fee, which all goes into a fund that is returned in the form of a trophy. We have a first and second place trophy that all that money goes into. They buy us shirts and give us their name.
We have mostly Juneau business merchants that sponsor leagues. It's not a big amount of money. They don't. The leagues don't usually charge very much. Some leagues charge $30 a year. Some charge $50 a year. And what it involves is maybe a shirt for 4 or 5 bowling team members. You know, so it's not an expensive thing. The bowler themselves carry the expense of the sport.
I wondered just how well you have to play to make it to a tournament.
Well, anyone can bowl in tournaments. That's one thing about bowling. You don't have to have won anything to bowl in a tournament. It's offered on a state level, local level, and a national level. But you don't have to win. You just go.
I notice on the walls some signs offering cash from businesses for somebody to bowl 300. Anybody ever collected on that here?
Yes, we've had 3 men that have collected on 300 games. And then we had Mary Kay Weed, who bowled the first 300 game for any woman in the state of Alaska here in Juneau a couple of years back, who was the only woman who's collected.
It must be exciting to watch that.
It is. That is really something exciting. I wouldn't want to have to do it myself because everybody sees what you're doing and everybody kind of comes to a halt and you get down there in that 10th frame and it's scary. My highest game is a 279, which was missing 1 strike, but my legs were shaking too.
Exercise, fun, and for many, a love of bowling. These seem to be the reasons Channel Bowl and alleys just like it around Alaska and around the country are full of women most afternoons.
The rules for some sports are written by governments. Hunting and fishing, for example, and they're enforced by law officers. The rules for other sports are written by associations and by tradition and history and enforced by referees and umpires. Now, there's a lot of criticism and joking about those who wear the black and white striped zebra uniforms, but without their influence, athletic events might be more like war than games. Whenever there's a bump on a basketball court or a close play at first, there's usually a dispute, and then it's time to call in the umpire.
I played high school football, I ran in track, and then in the summertime I was a lifeguard on the swimming team, and then I also played high school basketball. After junior college, I went to Eastern Washington State College in Cheney, and I tried out for the basketball team there, and I didn't make it. So I decided at that time, well, I wanted to stay in sports, and it was obvious that I didn't have enough talent to play the sports anymore at a collegiate level. So from there, I took a couple of basics of officiating classes, and then after I graduated, I moved to Othello, where my first broadcasting job was, and one of the people at the station was a softball umpire, and he decided, well, you get off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we need some people to do high school baseball. So I went to baseball and then softball, and then from there to the other sports. So basically I'm about a 6-person sport. The only one I don't really do is I've never been involved in the soccer, and basically after a summer of the rain of softball, the fall is cold and rainy, and that's usually when I go on vacation between softball and basketball, so I just have never gotten involved in soccer.
Even without working soccer games, Bob Sims is Juneau's busiest referee. When not officiating a game, Sims can often be seen along the sidelines at the scorer's table or on the headsets announcing the game for radio or TV. It was broadcasting at KINY that first brought him to Juneau in 1975.
I made up sports reports for the radio. I broadcast the high school sports like Crimson Bears basketball, and then in the summertime I would do some Little League games and some Senior League games and American Legion games for the radio station. Now, since I work for the state, really about the only thing that I do as far as broadcasting is, well, of course, a couple years ago when K2 was broadcasting the high school games, I worked as an announcer on those. And now about the only announcing that I really do is during the gold medal games, but I wish there was more around because I really enjoy doing it.
Nice touch by Kristen Nelson as the ball hit the rim about 4 times and finally dropped in.
After I quit working at KINY, I applied for various jobs throughout the state, with the state, and that's the first job that came open was a license clerk, and since I had done a lot of typing and stuff at KINY, preparing logs and stuff, that was the first job that was offered to me, and I got into that and decided that I liked it, so I stayed. Well, basically, I am an insurance market analyst, and what I do is I work with personal lines, which is automobile and homeowners. We go out and if we have a consumer complaint or something of that nature, we'll go out and find out if the consumer complaint is justified. We also work with insurance companies. When they send in rates and forms, we have to approve those rates and forms. So what I'll do is I'll study those rates and forms and decide, well, yes, you can make this rate change, or no, you can't make that rate change, or yes, this form is good or this form is bad. And so basically that's what my job is regulating the homeowners and auto for the insurance department.
Sims' sporting activities aren't just limited to officiating. In 1979, he was talked into helping coach a ladies' softball team. Since then, he's coached several teams, and the coaching has helped his officiating.
Just the relationship with the people on the team, seeing the game from a different aspect. I always see it from the officiating aspect, which I enjoy, but sometimes I enjoy seeing it from the players' aspect too. And it keeps me in touch with the players and how they feel about the officials, how they perceive the officials are doing. So it gives me a little bit of insight from both sides, which I think definitely helps me as an official.
Sims considers softball the easiest sport to officiate. The umpire there only has to concentrate on the ball and usually 2 players. Basketball, on the other hand, is more complicated.
Usually, in a basketball game, everything is so subjective that you just react to what you see and then you just go on from there. In a softball game, it's a little bit easier because you've only got the ball and you and the player, and that's where the call's going to be. And there have been times in a softball game where I think, well, maybe I blew that call, but there's no such thing, no matter what anybody believes, of, well, the next one's going to go in my favor because he blew that one. All you can do is try to bear down and get all the rest of the calls right. In a basketball game, when we go back and look at the tapes and we'll say, well, geez, maybe I should have called this that way, or maybe I should have called that way. But basketball is such a spontaneous game, and you got 10 people with 2 sets of eyes looking at 10 people, so there's no way that I can ever second guess myself in a basketball game until I go back and look at the tapes.
In 1984, college basketball came to Southeast when the University of Alaska Juneau started its program. The faster college games presented new challenges.
The speed of the game is the biggest difference, and the skill of the players. As far as from the officiating aspect, in high school, as an official, you're more of a teacher. You adhere to the rules a little more. You let a little less contact go because you're trying to teach the kids right from wrong. On the college level, most of the kids already know that. They know what they can get away with. They know what they can't get away with. They know the rules. They know what's right and what's wrong. They have much better control of their body, and therefore you go to a much more of a what officials and coaches like to call an advantage gained, where there may be some contact in high school and you would call a foul. On a college level, you might not call that same foul because there's no advantage gained. Say 2 rebounders go up and bump and the ball goes to the other side or something. There's no reason to call that foul. It slows down the game. So basically, the college game is much more of an advantage gained game than the high school. I think the college coaches are much more intense because it's more of a win situation in college than it is on the high school level. Most of the high school coaches are teachers of some sort, whether they're phys ed teachers or math teachers or whatever. So with them, teaching comes first and coaching comes second, and they're trying to develop a well-rounded student athlete. And that's supposed to be the aim in college too, but I think the college coaches definitely place a little more emphasis on it, and therefore there's more pressure on the officials to do a good job in the collegiate level. The biggest thing that I find as an official, as far as expectations of players, expectations of the crowd, expectations of coaches, is that in officiating, like in softball or in basketball, if you hit 350, you know, you're a great basketball player, or you're a great baseball player, or in basketball, if you shoot 50%, you know, that's a great shooting percentage. But officiating is the only thing that I know of where you have to be right 100% of the time, and then you have to improve on that, which, you know, is virtually impossible.
For those who think rolling down an alley or bouncing down a basketball court is a little bit too slow, there's another Southeast sport that provides plenty of speed. Eagle Crest is Southeast's ski area. Located just 12 miles from downtown Juneau, one of the chairs takes skiers to the spiny-topped ridges on Douglas Island where the highest runs begin. As someone once said, skiing is the only major sport where you start at the top and then work your way on down. At Eagle Crest, there are several tops from which to choose.
Open 7 days and 2 nights a week, Eagle Crest sees up to 39,000 skiers annually. 600 acres include miles of cross-country trails and 29 alpine runs serviced by 3 lifts. The beginner slopes, located just a few feet from the lodge, are serviced by the Platter Pole. Master the beginner slopes, it's time to advance to the Hooter chairlift, which will take you to the intermediate runs, Sneaky and Sourdough. If you're feeling like pretty hot stuff on Sneaky and Sourdough, you can try Ego just next door, so named because it's in full view of the Hooter lift. It's also equipped with night lighting, and more people are catching on to the fact that this is one of the best night spots around. Hooter chairlift also provides access to Ptarmigan, the longest of the lifts. A left turn off the top leads to a warming hut and a gentle run that winds its way down through the lower part of the East Bowl and then splits into an intricate web of trails that takes you back to the top of Hooter and the lower intermediate slopes. Some of these runs are nearly 1.5 miles long. But for the skier who's ready for a challenge, Ptarmigan Lift has much more to offer. 1,400 vertical feet of it. When you've skied all the out-of-the-way places you can think of, then it's time to take a hike. Just a few minutes walk from the top of Ptarmigan Lift takes you to the breathtaking scenery of Admiralty Island and Stevens Passage. From the ridge, you can move on to any one of the 3 large bowls in search of every skier's dream. Smooth, rolling acres of untracked snow. Moguls are those large bumps created when skier after skier turns on the same spot. Less experienced skiers usually have a tough time handling these obstacles, so the hill maintenance crew comes to the rescue with Eagle Crest's fleet of 3 snowcats. In no time at all, these wonderful machines can turn the nightmare of an icy, bumpy run into a smooth, velvet dream. For some, skiing the bumps is no problem. That, in case you didn't know, is called a helicopter jump, and it's frowned on by the Eagle Crest management. The city's Parks and Recreation Department operated Eagle Crest until July of 1982, when the Borough Assembly appointed an 11-member board of directors made up of local residents. Their job is to oversee operation and development of the area, helping it to better serve the community.
Ever since we've had Eagle Crest, I have never once heard downtown people say there is nothing to do in Juneau.
Nice for a well-rounded community to have the ski area.
I've met lots of people up here that I wouldn't have met otherwise, and skiing friends, and that's fun, yeah.
I think it provides a wonderful outlet for the kids.
And it is a wonderful family experience.
Southeasterners always seem to find a way to shake it up baby, whether it's rolling down a bowling alley, bouncing down a basketball court, or sliding down a ski slope. Just another part of the many facets of our active lives in Southeast. Now, since this week's game clock is running down to 0 and the referee's whistle's about to blow, I've just got time to say that Rain Country will be back again next week for a rematch. Until then, I gotta dribble on out of here.